Hi everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of the star, my first star that I'm working on, similar to the hearts I've done in the past. Excuse me again. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. The things that I've done since I saw you last was I did remove the beads. I had beads all up behind there. Didn't like it. Took them out. So these little beads are standing up. These little beads are sort of standing up and flopping around. And I did knots here, French knots. I did French knots here. And then I did these little bullions, but they stick up. They're not flat bullions. I think there's another name for them. It escapes me at the moment because, that's how my brain works. And then I started putting these beads on the tips of the stars, and I got way carried away. So I'm using these little opalescent, try not to blind you, but show you the little opalescent beads that I'm using. So I've been using those, and because I'm using pink thread in them, they look pink when you look at them down here. They're reflecting the color of the thread inside of them. So there it is up close. Now, hopefully the camera is not too close that I'm going to be blinding you the whole time. I thought I would finish this one side here and show you how I've been doing this. And then hopefully I have time. As soon as I turn the camera on, something is going to happen. Like everything will get knots in it, or, something to take up the time that I need to use, but that's okay. Now, some of the time I'm putting I don't know if you can see that, 2 beads on my needle. Sometimes I only put 1. Oh, and this, sometimes they don't want to go through. And this needle, this eye cannot get any smaller. That eye is extremely tiny. So I can't get a smaller one. I barely get these two. I'm using 2 strands of 6-strand floss, DMC floss. Yeah, I can barely get the 2 strands through this eye. So I've been working very hard not to unthread my needle by accident, because I can't even get a needle threader in there. That's how tiny the eye is. So I hope this finds everyone doing well. And I hope that, I don't think I have any viewers in Maine, but man, Maine has had a tough year. It's weird because you watch weather, like the Weather Channel and stuff, and they talk about California, they talk about, the Midwest getting storms, they talk about tornadoes, they talk about this, that, and the other. Well, Maine has been flooded. There's power out everywhere. There is a lot of water flowing everywhere. And I'm okay, see, like these 2 beads, I put them too close together so they're not laying flat. I'm okay with that, but I am trying to hide. See, I told you something would happen. They're sort of standing up at an angle like this. I'm okay with that. I'm also stacking some of these beads on top of each other. I go back and I add a bead on top to fill in spaces because of the white fabric behind it. Now, I've tried making the hearts on fabric with either, you know, colored fabric, dyed fabric. I don't like it. I feel like the work, the stitching and the beading get lost with if the background is either dyed, whether it's dyed solid or if the background has a pattern on it. I feel like, and it's probably just me and the way my brain works, but it feels way too busy, and like your work, all this work, the hours and hours of work you've put into it, I've probably done, I would estimate I've done at least 6 hours of work, if not more, on this already. And it just gets lost to me. There's an artist on Instagram, Finn and Knox, and she does beautiful dyed fabric and beads the things that she makes now. I've only seen her do stars up to this point, but she has started a heart. And yeah, to me, the beading totally gets lost, and it's kind of sad because she does beautiful work. And if I'm going to put all this work into something, I don't want it to get lost in what I'm working on. So yes, now I don't know if you can tell. I will point it out with the needle. But right here, because these two are standing up at a V again, that thread is visible, and I don't want it visible. So I'm taking maybe another bead. These things are so hard to see, and my eyes are not the best. But I'm going to put it right on top and see if I can. Of course, I may make a bigger problem. No. I'll figure it out. But what I do is I usually put a bead on top and it hides whatever's there. But I'm enjoying this very much. I have to do more stitching. But I've gotten on this beading kick, I tell you. As one of my subscribers said, I'm making bead soup. But that's okay. Now right here you can see threads sticking. If I move that thread, this thread is sticking out right here, right there. I'm going to take another small bead and just try and, whoopsies. And of course the threads are getting caught on everything. There. Now that bead is covering up the threads. So I'm going to come back over here, kind of try and do the same thing here. So it's a really pretty day here, cold, only a high of 41, windy, and interesting. We went out, did some grocery shopping. We're trying to get our grocery shopping completed because today is, I believe, the 19th, and you know, Christmas is, it's Tuesday in December, and Christmas is next Monday. We're trying like heck to avoid the stores the closer it gets to Christmas. So the problem is when you eat a lot of fresh vegetables, they go bad within a week. So we tried to stock up best we could. So we did run out and do some grocery pickup today. Now I feel like right in here, I feel like there's a sort of a blank space. I guess there's a bead in there, but I can't really tell. It's either buried or that's fabric behind there. So I'm going to, if I can pick a bead up, I'm going to just pop this in there. Oops, come back here, bead. Thank you. There. So I don't know if it shows, but they're a little bit, it looks like somebody just threw the beads down and they tumbled and landed there. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, I just spilled beads. Ah. And these clear ones, they just show up everywhere, even though I didn't hit the thing. Sorry. Okay. Scissors. So I hope you are not dealing with any of the cruddy weather out there. I'm thankful that the storm, I mean, what they got in Maine was the same storm we had, but they had a snowfall within the last week. So when it poured rain, inches and inches and inches of rain, there was already snow on the ground. So they are just wiped out. They're flooded everywhere. The roads are closed. The bridges are closed. All right. Now, have a plan, Martha. Quit your yammering and get on with it. All right. I was going to do, oh, excuse me. So there's some consistency. I'm very much like one side has to look like another side kind of thing. I am going to do some of these. There's a name for those. I can't think of it. But where the bullion stands up, see, those are not flat. Can you see what I'm trying to say? You picking up what I'm throwing down? So I'm going to do some of those over here on the edge of that. And I want that to be, what thread do I want to use? I don't know. Oh yeah, and I bought some DMC wool. So I'm going to be trying this too. I've not stitched with wool. It came in this box. And it's got all of these, needs to stuff down, but it's got these, it's got 2 greens, 2 blues, 2 purples, 2 pinks, a red, an orange, and 2 yellows. And I had a coupon. I might have said this in the previous video. I had a coupon and military discount and all kinds of stuff. All right, I like to use, that's a 3. That's really thick. That's good for French knots, not so great for the bullions. I'd rather use an 8. I don't have any variegated. I'll use this. This is a crochet thread. Came across it in my wanderings, in my own personal store, which is my basement. Let's see. I'm going to try this one. And yeah. I was like, oh, pink. Let's take that upstairs and use that. So some stuff went downstairs in my reorganizing the other day, and some stuff came back upstairs. Excuse me. So, let's see. I always have to get my directions straight on this. Meaning, do I go in there and come out there and head that way, or do I go in there? All right, I'm going to try this way. Up, down, not very far away, back up, and don't stab the French knots. No. I'm catching a thread from the French knots, I think. I think that'll be okay. Nope, I still have a thread caught in there. Gosh darn it. There we go. Okay, get the correct thread, this one, and then I'm going to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, this is going to be a bulky little guy here. And if you put your two holes, your exit hole and your entrance hole, close together, you will get them to stand up. That's an ugly one, but that's okay. It'll do. And down, up. And you have to put more wraps on than is wider than your space here. If you want your bullion knots to lay down flat, you have to only put as many as would reach that space. But when you want them to stand up, you have to have more see that space there is way longer than that space there. Come on. This is the proper needle for it, but it is not my favorite. I had a favorite needle and I don't know what I did with it. And this is, sometimes crochet thread can be more complicated to use. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, you can Google it if you want, but crochet twists the thread or yarn or whatever you're using. This is going to be tricky because I got beads on this side and knots on that side. Wow. I think I'm going to have to switch needles because this needle is going to be too... Yeah. That needle is too long for me to use, really. It's very difficult to do what I'm trying to do. So, when you crochet, as opposed to knitting, the yarn twists opposite for crochet than it does when you're knitting. It's hard to explain, but gee whizzikers. If these beads weren't here, I wouldn't be struggling as much, but I can't put my needle down in the direction I need to put it down in. Oh my gosh. Nope, not there. Not there. All right, this is going to have to do. Somehow when you're putting the yarn on the hook or on the needles, it twists the yarn a different way. And so I think they make crochet thread, when they make it for the sake of crocheting, they twist the yarn in the opposite direction that a normal, like, yarn. They twist the crochet thread in the opposite direction of what they would make, say, a yarn for knitting. Oh my gosh, it's so complicated, right? Only because I make it complicated. That's a little wonky doodle, but we're going to work on it. I can always cover it up with something else. Can you see how they're standing up? Depth. You're creating depth. So I may have to do this the opposite way. I'm going to try this the other way. I'm going to put my thread back down through there. Oof, maybe. And I'm going to try this way and see if I can get it to work. It's going to be complicated no matter which way I do it. I couldn't just do something simple and normal, right? I need to go from this direction. There we go. If it doesn't work one way, try it a different way. That's my theory. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Come on, squiggle down there. This needle's working much better. Even though I'm still struggling. The needle itself is working better. That's actually a needle made for making bullion knots. The previous one I was using. It's a... Wow. It's a Milner's Hiroshima needle from Tulip. I don't like them. They're big and thick. I don't know if they make them in different sizes or what, but they aren't my favorite. They are not my favorite. They stick in the fabric, and they don't glide through the fabric easily. So I'm not a fan. I'll be honest. I'd rather use a nice sturdy sewing needle where the eye is big enough to use the thread that I want to use, whatever size thread, I need to use for what I'm doing. And they say your bullions don't come out as well, but I just don't want to fight with my materials. Come on, Martha. Wow. I am like so entangled in all this stuff now. Wow, she's struggling. What else is new? Okay, let's see if I can get this done. Yeah, people all over the globe are struggling with stuff going on with the weather. It's crazy. Ow! 9 years ago, my Facebook was showing me a memory. We had snow on the ground. That was the year we had 3 big snowstorms in a row. We had one in December, one in January, and one in February. We ended up with feet and feet and feet of snow, and we were living on the farm back then. Whew. All right, I'm going to go back trying to do it from the other direction now. And you can't tell which direction you've gone in once they're done. But see, I can get my needle down here now. As long as I can keep it out of those French knots, I'll be okay. Nope, I can't do it. Should have kept going. There we go. Sure, I can. I lost count. And the secret is to keep your fingers on those twists. At least that's what I've found. Okay. I think I can get one more out of this strand of thread, and then I'm going to have to probably untwist it because it does twist. It's a lot easier to deal with if it's not all twisted. Because that's what you're doing. You're twisting it around your needle every time you do this. Come on, not in there. Don't get buried in the knots. Wow. This might be easier out of the frame, actually. All right. We were watching this series on Netflix. Now tell me why they would do this. I'm going to move you up a little. I have a feeling my hands moving around so much are probably blinding everybody. It's called My Life with the Walter Boys. I, again, wasn't counting. And it was a really good series. I think it was 10 episodes. And if I called it a movie prior to this, I'm sorry. It was not a movie. It was a show. My Life with the Walter Boys. So I looked it up because we finished it last night. We were watching like 2 episodes a night. Finished it last night. 10 episodes. The story is sort of left hanging. Like there's no real finale to the story. Like no closure. And I'm trying to decide, is this a good move to try and do one more with this thread or not? Probably not. And going in this direction is also not the best move, but try not to split that thread there because that's going to cause me a problem if I do. And the 10 episodes end. It's sort of up in the air, like who's doing what, why is she going there, blah, 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 right? And I look it up, Google, and it says that there was only one book written that this story is from, right? The author who wrote the book only wrote one book, and that's where she left it. Why would you do a show out of it if there isn't more than one, no closure to the story, and there's not more than one book? Why? Why do you do that to people? Now we want to watch the rest of it. There's not even a book to go read. Like, you can't find out what happens because it's loosely based on this book. They took some creative freedom, I guess it's called, or whatever they call it, and, you know, veered off from the book a little bit. But I mean, now we want to see more of it, and we can't even be told if there's a new season going to come out because there's nothing to base the rest of the show on. Because the book that it was made from ended. And there's not a sequel or, you know, a follow-up or anything else. How maddening is that? I mean, just leave us hanging when it was a really good story too, because it's very PG. And a lot of characters and a lot of interesting characters, in my opinion. Really enjoyed the show. So yeah, if you have Netflix, you can look it up. But beware. It's, you're only going to see the 10 episodes. Google did say that the author, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll have to do this one this way. That the author supposedly may be working on, you know, the next book. By the time she gets the book written and it's published, and I'm sorry, this is going so slow and I'm struggling here. I didn't mean for it to be this way. And so they get that, you know, the show written, and if all the actors are still available and blah, 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 it'll be 3 years down the road. I mean, frustrating. Just frustrating. There aren't that many good shows out there that aren't full of violence or sex or whatever. Murders. I was really hoping that this would be a nice long series we could watch. Nope. Fooled you again, Martha. Ow. Just poked myself. one more for good measure. Come on. Wow. I think I wrapped a little tight. Something's sticking. Something's not pulling right here. Yeah. There we go. Sorry for the heavy sigh. I hate when people do that. I hate when people do that, but I'm doing it. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no. You go back where you belong. Let go. Yeah, starting in the middle like I did probably wasn't the smartest move. I think if I do another star, which I probably will at some point, I don't think I'll start in the middle. Because everything catches on it. Why? I told you, as soon as I turned the camera on, everything would go wrong. And look, my premonition came true. What? There we go. Why? No, that was the wrong way. Trying to make my tail shorter. Wow, I mutilated these guys. Okay. Well, why aren't you standing up like you're supposed to? It's all wonky doodles. Hey, yeah, mama. So are you all ready for your holidays? Whatever you celebrate. Tony and I do not buy each other gifts. We buy what we want throughout the year. And in fact, I just went and bought some fabric online. It's all Corinne's fault. She won't be watching this. She has too many other things going on in her life, but it's all Corinne's fault. And Susanna over at, oh crap, of course now I can't remember her shop. I mean her YouTube name, but yeah. Vintage Craft Studio is Susanna's YouTube. It's all their fault. Susanna sent Corinne some fabric and I have to have this fabric. I have to. And usually when I go looking for fabric that someone shows the name of, it's either, you know, from 2006 and you can't get it anymore, or it's something you can only get in Australia or the UK or whatever, or it's just not a current fabric, which actually goes with the first thing that I mentioned, like from 2006. However, this fabric, there were some panels out there. There's Etsy. Some people said they got theirs on eBay. I don't do a lot on eBay. I don't know. When it comes to a fabric panel, I've ordered from, I think, Etsy and maybe eBay before, and people don't care how they cut the panel. And it has come to me chopped up in bits before where you can't really put it together as a panel because it's, I'm not going to put this one together as a panel, but if you get it and it's all sort of, you know, it's not cut straight. It's all misshapen, or they cut into one of the things on the panel and they ruin it. They're just not careful with it. So I'm hoping that I bought this from a quilt shop in Pennsylvania. None of my quilt shops around here had it, according to me researching on the internet. And so it seems like the kind of shops that carry these kind of panels, and some of the fabrics I've seen are like those sewing and vac centers, but we don't have any of those around us. So I can never go look. My husband's putting something in the oven, and I told him we were having potatoes tonight. gold potatoes. So I don't know if he's roasting them. Well, it's 4:15. He's probably sticking them in the oven because of that. Let's see. Okay, now I have to sneak up under this thing. Not too far. Oops, come out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Don't ask me why 16 instead of 15. I started doing that. That's what they all are. Yeah, so we don't have any of those sewing and vac stores around us. We have some here in Virginia, but nothing near where I live as far as I'm aware. And they seem to carry like fabrics that I often see other people using online. There. I mean, that one's a little weird, wonkadoodle. I could probably put one more right there. Maybe that would help that guy stand up. Maybe I'll try that. Right there. You go over there where you belong. So anyway, I ordered it from a shop in Pennsylvania for way less than I saw anywhere else. And the shipping was less than anywhere else. So I'm getting this thing like for $15, whereas everybody else it would have been like $18 to $22. So I'm okay with that. I'm glad I kept pursuing looking for it. Now, as long as it arrives and it's not all chopped up or misshapen, I'll be happy with it. I'm not going to use it as a panel. There's 6 different pictures on it. I absolutely fell in love with one of the pictures on it, and I'm going to, even though it's supposed to be a Christmas panel, it is going to hang in my room full time when I work on it. And it's going to be one of those projects I just work on for me. Okay, well, that's not too bad. That fixed it, more or less. Yay, okay, I'm happy with that. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to keep stitching away on this. And today is Tuesday, so I will try and be back with another video before Christmas. And I will see you then. It'll probably be either the wreath or the winter project. I haven't decided yet. And I think I was going to make a ribbon flower out of this. That almost looks more salmon than pink. I was going to use this ribbon, but I don't think I'm going to now. I could make one out of this, but I need to find more really thin ribbon like that, as I said in my last video. And of course, I went to a store that I meant to look for ribbon in, got the other things we needed, and left and forgot to look for the ribbon. So, but that's how it's looking. I'm liking it. And I will see you in the next one. So happy crafting, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. See you in the next one. Bye.